Hello, and after last week's session, in which we looked at a couple of things, we looked at lip sync puppets and we looked at marionettes. This short little video will be specifically again about lip sync puppets. So lip sync puppets is about transferring your voice into the hand and the hand becoming a character. So we're going to look at a number of things today in terms of lip sync puppets. And one of the things that we want to look at is, first of all, focus. So focus is really, really important for puppets. So where the eyes are looking, this is just a hand, so it has no eyes, but a sense of where it might be looking and what it's interested in gives it a sense of life and character. So it's really important that a puppet, I'm just stop lip syncing here for a minute, just looks around and explores its world, maybe before it says any words. And then it becomes a lot more alive as a character. The other thing we're going to look at is how we sync our lips to our hands and to our puppets' mouths, and how there's a few principles to do that. And it's similar to lip syncing in miming for songs. And actually miming to songs with puppets does look very funny, and there are a few good videos out there doing that. And then finally, we'll look at how you can bring in another hand to complete the puppet, and it become another character. It becomes a kind of a complete thing. It can gesture. So first of all, I'm going to look at using this puppet that I started and showed you how I made it out of cardboard. It's a very simple puppet. He's a dog character. At the moment, I'm just speaking with my voice. I'm not putting on a puppet voice. But he might have a really nice kind of character voice, a bit more growly, because he's a dog-like character. And this puppet now has been covered, and it's been covered in paper and card and held together with tape and staples. So it's a very simple and easy structure to make. And then we're going to look at the other puppet that is quite old now and is finished off, but all that is a skin of fur over that covering. But this one is just completely paper, and I really like paper like this. I like packaging paper. I like the colour of this paper. And for him, he's now got also an extra part of him, which is his hand. So he can kind of have a bit more of potential with movement, so he can be thoughtful. I'm thinking right now. I've stopped thinking right now. And he can look around. And the key thing that I want to do before, I've already introduced the hand, which is a little bit naughty. I put the hand away. Is the key thing is the focus of the eyes of the puppet. So I'm going to be quiet for a few seconds. And I'm just going to show you the way that the puppet can look around at the world and how that kind of brings the audience into what the puppet is doing. Hi. How are you? I'm fine. I don't know why I've got this voice. It's the voice I want today. And, well, anyway, it'll do for today. I might have a different voice tomorrow. I don't know. Anyway, I might find a hand. Do you think I have a hand down here? Yes, I do. You want to see it? Right. I will go and bring my hand up very slowly. Yes, I need my hand sometimes to hold my head up. So you can see with this, you can kind of create all sorts of very strange little dialogues like that just improvised. I completely made that up. I wasn't sure what was going on. But the focus of the eyes of the puppet is very, very important. And if we use the focus into the camera and sometimes off camera, looking at something outside that might be going on or looking around at the world that's going on, it really brings the potential of this puppet to life. And I think it's a really good principle for using these kind of puppets. And then the hand just adds something to that. So the hand can be a gesture, but you don't really want to be wobbling the hand too much because it doesn't really say anything. So you want to have specific gestures like, "Hi, how are you today?" He might point to the camera, he might just put his hand, he might have a scratch, he might, very specific things are better with a hand than moving around all the time without any sort of true intention in that puppet. So this is the dog puppet, and as you can see, his bottom jaw does most of the moving again, and his top jaw does move a little bit because it's impossible to try and stop that happening with this make. But next I'm going to move on to the idea of how you lip sync, and for that we're going to go back to just a hand. So with the hand, the key thing, as I said before, is the thumb. And the thumb does most of the movement and completes the movement because it's like our bottom jaw. And our bottom jaw does all the moving in our head, not the rest of our head. And because of that, it's much more realistic, or kind of like a kind of mouth, if that bottom jaw does the movement. The top is really hard to isolate, but if you can, as much as possible, move that bottom thumb, and that's where most of the expression is and where it starts to look like a mouth. So all I'm doing is I'm finishing off each sound that I'm making with my mouth. So whatever I'm making, as long as my thumb goes back to the top of the jaw or the other fingers, that means it finishes off. If I leave the mouth open, then that looks rather strange, or if I keep the mouth closed, that doesn't work either. So it's always just following the sounds that I'm making. And sometimes it can't pick up all the kind of small rhythms and small sounds that I make with my voice, because otherwise that'd get very, very busy and it would just look like a bit of a mess. So some of it is just slowing that down slightly and just always making sure that I finish off each word by closing the mouth. And that's a very simple principle of lip syncing. So it's really important that the puppet's mouth is not left open, unless it's for a kind of character thing, and that the mouth closes at the end of each sentence or the end of each phrase that's said. And then that puppet will look like it's got some sort of, it's connected to the voice. If it's not, it won't look as connected to the voice. So finally, and I'd bring an old puppet back that I made many, many years ago. This puppet of a bear, he was created for a show, and he spoke a lot in that show. He had a series of monologues, and what I'll do, I'll show you him first, and I'll show you what happens when you can actually bring your own hand into play with these kind of puppets. So I did use a glove with this puppet, but for now, you see he's got this shirt now, and with his hand, it can be your hand, and all I'm doing is I'm putting my hand through the shirt, and that's becoming the connection between this chap and the things that he's saying. So he can use his gestures, he can pick things up really, really easily. He can look at that, oh, look at that, that's quite interesting. And he can do things, and it is a very versatile way of using a puppet that's a lip sync puppet, because having that hand and having that grip means that you can pick all sorts of things up. He can read his script, he can look back at the audience, he can kind of like get more involved. But again, the other principle that I'm using here is that the puppet can connect with the audience but through the look. So he's looking through the camera, and that means he's connecting. The hand is slightly secondary to the look and to the focus, because if he's not really focused and the hand is doing lots of things, nothing's going on, nothing's happening. So the intention, the kind of brain, the thing up here has to be where a lot of the ideas come from. So if he's thought of something, picks something up, starts reading a script, looking at that script, that's a complete thing. If the head doesn't move or it doesn't gesture that thing, it kind of doesn't work. So the principles of lip syncing are focus, where's the puppet looking, finishing off the mouth movements, and also if you're going to bring the hand in, making sure the hand connects to what's going on with the head and with the eyes and with the rest of the puppet. And that's the principle of that. And also, I'm very present in this video, as you can see, but you can also decide to not be so present in your videos, and you can begin to film without you being in the frame. And I'm just doing that today because it means I can talk to you as well. That's the end of that video. So the next one I want to do will be around marionettes, and I hope you enjoy the video, and speak to you soon. Bye bye.